Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 6th episode of Season 4 of the Coffin Corner Podcast. I'm your host, GoodNightPunk, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Richie. Richie, what's going on, dude?
What's going on is that in 1 week from right now, we will have seen a NFL football game. So I am very excited. We got drafts this weekend. The season starts in less than a week. It is just the best time of the year.
Right? I'm just enjoying college football this week as the primer.
Yes, yeah, there's some good matchups this weekend too.
There
A lot
will
of
be
top
some
10
good games
matchups.
tomorrow, so that'll be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Thursday's Eagles Cowboys kickoff.
I'll tell you, fantasy sports does something that the kind of similar to betting does for me. I watched a Houston football game last night for no other reason than to watch my backup fantasy tight end play to see if he did well.
And that's Houston, College of Houston, not
Yes,
Houston, Texas.
not the Texans, Houston Cougars
Yes, yeah, I know. That is
against
I mean that's
Stephen F. Austin.
fantasy fantasy football is what really got me super into football,
Mhm.
and so yeah, that's what happens, you start playing fantasy sports and before you know it, you're just a fan of every game in the sport. So I look forward to maybe one day playing fantasy NCAA football since I didn't get an invite this
You
year.
you should. It's fun.
Yeah, maybe one day. That's the dream.
Of
That's the
course,
dream.
of course.
Well, so let's dive on in. So last week our top five was who we thought the best five teams in each conference would be. So I figured it would pair well with this week's, which is who we think the top five worst teams in each conference will be. Once again, you have the NFC, I have the AFC. I'll start off with my number five, which hinges on basically one man and one man alone, and his name is Justin Fields, because my number five team is the Jets. I think the Jets are either going to be a possible wild card team or a possible number one pick team based on
Yeah,
how Justin
for
plays.
sure. For sure. And the preseason was not a good look for him, but I don't know that the preseason's ever been a good look for him, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to judge preseason, and the reports out of training camp is that he had a tough summer at times. But he played well last year for the Steelers. I think they were 6-2 before he got benched. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of what he does is the scrambling and improvisation. So I hope the Jets succeed. I would love to see them succeed after jettisoning Aaron Rodgers. Nothing would make me happier. But we shall see.
Nothing would make me happier than a team that's mostly got the same bones, but a new quarterback do well. And then you
Yeah,
guys be like, okay, well, what was the factor here that made them bad?
exactly. I mean, Zach Wilson already proved he can win more games than Aaron Rodgers with basically the same team. So
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, my number five might surprise some people, but I don't think it should be. I mean, most people are just blind followers of this team, regardless, as fans. But if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you got to wonder if you're at the top five of the NFC worst teams. Um, just traded Micah Parsons. Spoiler alert, we'll get there. But yeah, lost one of your best defenders. Um, when when Prescott when Dak Prescott was healthy last season, he wasn't great. I think he threw 11 touchdowns to 8 interceptions with a 60-ish% completion rate. Um, Throwing to basically CD Lamb and CD Lamb alone. So that offense isn't looking great. I don't think did they. So they signed Javonte Williams, right, from the Broncos, and they drafted a guy, and they still have Rico Dowdle, I believe.
no, Rico Dowdle's gone, but they have another running back, and I think he's from the Panthers. Let me see. Miles Sanders.
Okay, yeah, well, that doesn't move the needle for me. He got beat out by Chuba Hubbard. So they're not. Jaden Blue, that's the guy, the rookie.
Yeah.
Their offense. Oh, right. They got George Pickens. Don't care. If we go back to what we talked about last year, George Pickens, unless he starts doing something, he is a lot of talk for not a lot of anything productive. Sure, he gets catches. Sure, he gets yards, but he completely disappeared in the playoffs. He talks crap about other receivers and then can't do the thing he talked crap about, i.e. calling Amon-Ra St. Brown a slot merchant when he played the slot in the playoffs. He missed, 4 catches out of 5? I mean, again, George Pickens doesn't move the needle for me. So their offense is just okay. And now they've lost Micah Parsons. Looks like they picked up Dante Fowler, Kenny Clark. They still have Deron Bland, Trevon Diggs. I don't know, man. I just think that they are in 7-10 last year. Lost a bunch of pieces. It's going to be interesting for Dallas.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think losing Micah Parsons is going to be a much bigger impact than anybody realizes. Like, he is one of the best defensive players in the league. And Dak, the thing with Dak is over the last 5 seasons, he's played 2 full seasons. So, like, he's gotten banged up a lot in the last 5 years. So, hoping that he plays a full year, the odds are against him. And then with George Pickens, 2 of the things that stand out to me, because I wanted to look at his stats because I was curious. He's never had more than 5 touchdowns in his 3 years. Like, 5 touchdowns is his career high.
Max, yeah.
And, like, last season, 103 targets, 59 catches. Like, he catches half of the passes thrown his way.
Yeah, that's
maybe some of that's on quarterback play, but I think some of it is also on him. So yeah, I completely agree. Cowboys and they're gonna have 2 first rounders the next 2 years, so I think it's very realistic that they are entering rebuild mode. So, all right, my number 4 is the team that was the worst last year. So I don't expect them to make a huge jump, and that's the Tennessee Titans. I like Cam Ward. I don't think Cam Ward's going to come out and have a Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels type rookie season. But I do think he could develop into something solid there. But other than that, I mean, they've got Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, not terrible players, but nothing exciting.
So I'd really hope that Tony Pollard would do well there leaving Dallas. But last year isn't anything really I remember too much. He rushed for 1,000 yards, but he only had 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think he missed some time. I don't know, but I remember I had him on a team in fantasy. All right, so I missed 1 game, but yeah, it's just nothing overly like, oh, they've got a star. They're completely rebuilding right now, starting with their quarterback. So yeah, I just don't see them making a huge jump. I think they'll clearly be a bottom 5 team in that conference. Like I said, even though I do like Cam Ward long term.
I like the team in general. I've always been, ever since that Super Bowl where they lost by the arm stretch length, I've always kind of rooted for the Titans to get back there and get their championship that they barely lost. But this is definitely not the team that's going to do it. It has some of the inner workings of moving towards that team, possibly, but we'll see how Cam Ward does this season.
Yeah, it's gonna take another year or 2 before they're a realistic contender.
Yep, that makes sense to me. All right, number 4 is a team that I am actually. We'll go with like your 5. To me, it's boom or bust. I know you have you say bust right off the top, but it's the Carolina Panthers. I feel like I don't really know Tedderell and McMillan they got. They got Tetherado McMillan. They just traded away, spoiler alert again, one of their main wide receivers, which leaves far less action or production in their wide receiver room than they had. You've got a rookie Tetherado McMillan. You got second-year player Xavier Leggett, Jalen Coker. I mean, these are some good names that haven't had any production yet. So Jatavian Sanders, great tight end from Texas. Like, they have the offense, but they have to put it together. And Bryce Young was decent at the end of the year. Like, the last 8 games was really good. Started the season really badly. So if he starts the season badly again, that just completely destroys them. But yeah, I will say I don't see a lot of movement on the defense to make the whole team better. So I don't know. Carolina Panthers are either going to be really bad or average good. Like 9-8.
Yeah, I like a lot of players on the Panthers and a lot of pieces they have. I just don't like Bryce Young. I just don't see him becoming a top quarterback. So, like I said, when we talked about the Panthers, I think they built a great team for whoever they draft next year. So,
well,
we
if they're
shall
bottom
see.
team, then they got a good chance. So yeah, we will see. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, and you can commiserate with this. I think he plays good enough that he gets a contract extension, and they write him out for 7 years, just like the Cardinals have with Kyler Murray.
No, I
guarantee that's going to happen
Panthers.
That's what's going to happen. So
it probably will, because that's what Jacksonville did with Trevor Lawrence, where it's just like, you're good enough, let's overpay you.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah,
exactly.
but yeah, I hope the Panthers don't do that, because it's like you said. You look at I mean, Tate McMillan, obviously awesome. I like Xavier Levitt, Jalen Coker, Jonathan Brooks if he was ever healthy. So I think, and I'm like, man, can you imagine if they had like Sam Levitt? Like they would have. That'd be a pretty great team. So, yeah, we shall see. My number 3 is the Raiders in the AFC, and that again just boils down to I don't think Geno Smith is. He had his one resurgent year and then kind of struggled, and he's back together with Pete Carroll, sure, but I don't see Geno Smith being all that great. Jacoby Myers, spoiler alert, wants to get traded. So we'll see if he ends up leaving, and
he played
then they're just down to
right 1 season.
No, he's. I think this is his 3rd year.
Is his 3rd year? It is his 3rd year. That's how long I've been doing this podcast. That's crazy.
Yeah, because it's the last year of his contract, and that's why he wants to either get re-signed or traded.
87 catches is good. 1,000 yards for those 87. That's kind of low. 4 touchdowns. Like, dude.
Yeah.
That is not like make or break season numbers if they do not have you.
Yeah, I think receivers they're starting to see how much money like DK Metcalf and Terry got, and now everybody wants to get paid $30 million a year, and it's like, no, not everyone is worth the same amount. It's not how this works. But yeah, I like Ashton Genty, but he's a rookie. It may take him some time to adjust. Brock Bowers obviously is awesome, but if he's the only weapon they have, he's going to get triple covered. And then we'll see with the defense. Max Crosby is great, but he's the only one I know. So, and Pete Carroll being almost damn near 80, it's just like, dude, even caught up with Belichick, eventually the game just leaves you behind. So yeah, I don't. We'll see from the Raiders, but I just don't. And they play an extremely difficult division. So
yeah, that's the toughest part for them. So. My number 3 is a team from a division where someone's got to be bad, and why wouldn't it be the one that's always bad? And that is the Chicago Bears. Now, granted, they have a new head coach from a team I'm well acquaintance with, but I'm still not a believer in Caleb Williams. And I don't even think that, a Ben Johnson offense is going to fix that. I feel like he'll find ways to like distract you from the problems with Caleb Johnson's game, but those will still be enough to lose games. And in a division where everyone's getting better, well, besides maybe the Vikings, but I don't see them being better than the Vikings because the Vikings still have Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen. So, yeah, I just don't. I think the Bears are poised to have like 6 wins this season, which in the NFC, which has a lot of good teams, that number will probably still be near the bottom of the NFC, even with 6 or 7 wins. So, yeah.
Yeah, when we talked about them, I think we did the NFC North last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I talked about the Bears, and the same as last year, where everything was, oh, they're going to be so much better. They've got all these weapons. It's a breakout season, and then they won like 5 games. And this year is the same thing. And granted, I like Ben Johnson. I love his creativity. I think Greg Williams, their defensive coordinator, is awesome. I like DJ Moore, Roma Dunze. They have DeAndre Swift. Like, they have a bunch of weapons on offense. They upgraded the offensive line, the defense. It's like everything revolves around, is Caleb Williams going to be the guy? And it's like, I don't know. But if I'm betting money, I'm going to bet on historical evidence of the Chicago Bears losing. Like, that's, when we did our over-under, that's just the way it is. In my heart, of course, I want the Bears to win because, for my dad and for friends that are Bears fans. But it's like, I got to see it first. You got to show me that you can do it before I'm just going to start, keep believing that they're going to do it every year. It's just too exhausting. So, yeah, with the Bears, the odds point to them struggling. So, we'll see. My number 2 for the AFC is the Jaguars. I'm just done with Trevor Lawrence. I'm tired of people. He's a mid-level quarterback that's paid as a top 5 quarterback. And it's just, I don't see anything out of him. Last year, when, everybody's all about Brian Johnson Jr., and his best games came with Mac Jones. Like, that's what's the craziest thing is Mac Jones fills in and looked better than Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville.
Well, here's the thing.
So, yeah.
Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. He played 10 games, almost the same exact as Dak Prescott. 2,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Dak Prescott was 1,800 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Nobody looks at Trevor Lawrence the same as Dak Prescott somehow, but both of them play the same. And we talk about Trevor Lawrence that way, but not Dak Prescott. Now, over time, the stats are different, but I'm just saying, like, if we're talking pedestrian, these are the type of numbers that put you in the bottom 5 of your division.
Yeah, exactly. And they've got Travis Hunter, great. He could develop, and again, they Brian Thomas looked like a good receiver. It's just when it comes down to the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence has not done anything to warrant the attention he gets as former number 1 pick. Everybody always the next Andrew Luck coming out of Clemson. Oh my God, look at his blonde hair. And it's just, no, the dude is as mid can get. And I'm just like, I just don't have any faith in them doing anything this year. But yeah, just my 2 cents.
Understandable. My number 2 is the New York Jets. Sorry, not Giants. The New York Jets. The New York Giants. The funniest part to them is they might be higher on this list if Jackson Dart was starting, but the fact that they're draft Jackson Dart and then they're starting Russell Wilson, who absolutely tanked and destroyed the Steelers season last year. And they sign him and they're like, you're our starter. So either you're tanking this year too, knowing full well he's fully capable of it, or you just don't want to win games. And I don't know what the deal is. So even with Jackson Dart, they'd probably be in trouble. But Russell Wilson starting, there's definitely going to be some struggles for the New York Giants. And they've never really addressed the wide receiver room. They have Malik Neighbors, which was a good hit. Wan'Dale Robinson, underperformer. Darius Slayton sometimes has good games. Jalen Hyatt, same thing. One day he's there, the next day he's not. They keep going into the season with this same wide receiver crew that never does anything, besides Malik Neighbors now. And then Theo Johnson, tight end. Would you have guessed that was their tight end? No. Exactly. Like, who is this team?
Yeah, Jackson Dart has played well in the preseason, and it boggles my mind that they haven't pivoted to be like, oh, you know what, we're just going to start him now. Because they draft him and everyone's like, oh, we're going to have him sit for a year so he can learn behind Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. And then they get out there in the field and it's like, actually, he's playing better than them. We should put him out there so we can win games, but we're just going to stubbornly stick to our plan. And then in 5 weeks, when we're 1-4, we'll put him in then. And it's like, just play him. Just put him in and play him. But I think Brian DeBall knows that he's basically fired after this year, so he doesn't really give a shit.
That's gotta be it.
Yeah. All right. Am I number one in the AFC? I mean, they're the worst team in the AFC, if not the league, almost every year. It's the
definitely
Cleveland Browns.
The league.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Joe Flacco, cool. They've got Dylan Gabriel as their number 2. Shedeur Sanders is 3rd, which everybody is calling as racist, whatever. They have no running back. Their receivers, I actually like Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman, but that doesn't mean anything. And they've got Myles Garrett.
Those are literally the only 2 on the team.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they got rid of Deontay Johnson. And Myles Garrett's great, but how much he got paid? So I don't think he really cares about anything anymore. He got his money and whatever. But yeah, sorry, Browns. You should have taken a quarterback at number 2. You traded the pick. Fine. You'll have another high pick this year. You can take one of the many quarterbacks in next year's class, and fire Kevin Stefanski and try again.
Yeah, because this is definitely a team that is going for a top quarterback next year. So unfortunately for Dylan Gabriel and for all the Shedeur Sanders fans out there, neither of them are going to be starting for the Browns next year.
No, they'll start some games this year probably, but not next year.
Shedeur Sanders is this year's DTR, basically.
Yeah, Joe Milton, all those backups that everybody falls in love with, and they should start. Hey, maybe he'll get traded somewhere next year, and play in the preseason and look terrible like he did, and then everyone will be like, oh, you know what? That's why he was a 5th round pick.
Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting for sure. My number 1 is a team that seems to be trying to do the same thing as the Browns, and that's the New Orleans Saints. And Spencer Rattler, that's their starter. Despite giving up on him.
Not even the rookie.
Not even the rookie. Spencer Rattler's younger than the rookie. So.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just, they gave up on Rattler multiple times last year to come into this season with Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler fighting for the job. And Spencer Rattler barely was not as bad as Tyler Shuck and won the job. Not exactly inspiring confidence if you are a Saints fan. And I know that if I were going into this season and we were like, Spencer Rattler is our starter, it'll be interesting to look at the cuts and see any of the quarterbacks that were cut that would be better than Spencer Rattler when we get there. Let's keep that in the back of our minds here because I'm really interested. But yeah, they still got Alvin Kamara. Chris Olave is just wasting his life away there in the Saints. I feel like he'd be a good receiver with a good quarterback, but he never has one. So
he also hasn't stayed healthy.
He
gets hurt all the time.
Yeah, so it's just Rashid Shaheed, Brandon Cooks. Like, These names have been decent in the past, but I don't see that offense going anywhere.
No.
So poor
Alvin
Alvin
Kamara's getting
Kamara.
older. Yeah, and he's got to be in his 30s by now. So it's like he's wearing down. Olave is always getting concussed. Brandon Cooks is way past his prime. I can't believe the Saints went into the season. They had to have known Derek Carr was going to retire. They
Mm-hmm.
had to have known something was up with him. They signed no free agents and they didn't draft somebody until like the third round. And they just did not care. They so clearly are like, we want the number one pick. We want Arch Manning because his grandfather played for us. And what a story that would be.
Mm,
And that's just all they seem to care about.
there you go,
Oh
for
yeah.
sure.
Sorry, Saints fans. You might as this is a red shirt year.
Yeah. This one is a just don't watch. We'll see you next year.
Yeah, go watch LSU or something.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, let's dive into the news because we actually have quite a bit of news. Obviously, we've got preseason cuts, a couple extensions, and the biggest news would be yesterday's trade. Dallas trading disgruntled pass rusher Micah Parsons to the Packers for 2 first rounders and Kenny Clark. So yeah, this is hilarious as a Commanders fan watching Dallas fumble Micah Parsons so badly because it really gives out Dan Snyder vibes. But as a Lions fan, I don't think you're happy about seeing Micah Parsons twice a year.
He hasn't gotten a sack. We've played Dallas probably the last 3 years, and he hasn't got a sack against us. I think they overpaid. I feel like the Packers got fleeced myself, but I'm not too worried about
Yeah.
it, to be honest. Parsons doesn't do anything against the Lions and hasn't, so I don't foresee that changing. Penei Sewell is apparently his dad, so yeah, there's no reason. I'm not too worried. What I'm really actually happy about is that the Packers just lost 2 first-round picks, so
It's a big price to pay.
it is a big price for because I liken this to like the Bears getting what's his face from the
Khalil Mack.
Chargers years ago. You're like, okay,
Yeah, Khalil
well,
Mack.
he did plenty. He was good, but it wasn't like the most. It wasn't the end all be all. You know what I mean? So, will Micah
Yeah, to
Parsons
me-
pressure the quarterback 90% of rushes against the Lions? Probably not. So that's what I don't worry about.
Well, that's good. I see, and I look at it more like, well, it's the Packers, and like we talked about, they just always seem to be successful, annoyingly. So I worry that he's going to go there and become like Reggie fucking White or some shit.
Yeah.
I'm happy as a Commanders fan to get him out of Dallas because that basically leaves their defense with nothing, and sets them up to start a rebuild, which I think they're going to because they're paying Dak a bunch of money and CeeDee Lamb a bunch of money. And they traded Micah because they didn't want to pay him a bunch of money. So, yeah. But, Godspeed to you, Parsons. I wish he would have come to Washington because I know he loves Dan Quinn, but that was never going to happen.
He also talked about the Lions a lot over the last 2 years. So I thought he might end up on the Lions.
Looking at the price, if the Lions would have given up 2 first rounders, but the problem is the player. They would have had to give up a player. And like I was thinking about with the Commanders, I'm like, we really don't have any defensive players that we could have given up. I mean, I love Daron Payne, but he's not on the Kenny Clark level. So that's why I was thinking like the price. It's like, well, we probably would have to give up 2 firsts and a third, maybe, which I would have done. Do you think would you have been happy if the Lions paid that?
2 first rounders? Yeah. Not if
Yeah.
they traded a young player with 2 first rounders. If it had been like the older defensive tackle that we have from the Bengals, that probably DJ Reader, that would probably be fine. But
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if the Commanders had given up 2 firsts and say like a third, I wouldn't have liked that. That's it's like but because the problem then is like you also have to pay Micah Parsons, and that hampers paying other people. And like we just had issues paying Terry, so I'd rather keep our cap space liquid for when we need to re-sign Jaden and anybody else.
Well, that's a good news for us is that all our people are mostly paid. So throw on top of that the fact that you'd now have him on the other side of Hutchinson, and hopefully he
do they have the room to if they would have traded for him? Do they have the cap space to?
Oh yeah, they have the second most cap space in the NFL.
Oh, nice! So, and all your stars are paid.
Yeah, so like they would have been fine, but like I said, I would need him to show up against the NFC North. So that's the biggest thing. Yeah. We'll see how he does in Green Bay.
Well, he's going to be chasing Caleb Williams around for a long time.
Yeah.
So speaking of Terry, the national nightmare for Commanders fans ended. He signed a 3-year extension worth up to $96 million. Ironically, the average salary is about $29 million, so he did not get the 34 he was asking for. Sorry, but they gave him a bunch of incentives.
What the? We lost him. Hold on. Gotta bring him back. I don't know what happened there. There he is.
That was weird. I don't know what the hell happened.
Did you press disconnect by accident?
No, I was sitting here talking to Terry McLaurin and it just disconnected.
Like the disconnection between the Redskins and Terry this offseason.
Ayo. I paused the recording though, so let me.
Oh God! Now I gotta fix that too.
Well, I'll tell you the timestamp I paused it at.
That doesn't help me.
Okay.
Because I didn't pause mine.
Oh, well, have fun cutting all this out.
Right. Yep.
Well, mine was at 31:55. Just so you know.
Gotcha.
All right, I'm gonna continue recording and go back to. So yeah, Terry gets signed. He stays for 3 more years. That leaves the Commanders with no issues going into the season, which is rarefied air for them. Well, yeah, I'm just happy that my McLaurin jersey is not trash. And then the other big player that was holding out was Trey Hendrickson. He didn't get a full extension, but he did sign a revised contract for this year that pays him $29 million. He'll still become a free agent after this year, unless he gets franchise tagged. This happened a couple hours after the Terry McLaurin news. So my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory is that the Commanders were trying to decide whether they wanted to pay Terry or trade for Trey Hendrickson and pay him. They saw their abysmal wide receiver room in the preseason because Terry wasn't there and Debo didn't play, and decided, nope, got to pay Terry. So they paid Terry, and then the Bengals, with no one else left to trade with, decided just to pay Trey Hendrickson. So that is my thought about how that went down. I have no proof, just what I believe. So. Next extension, I think this was yesterday. Ravens signed Kyle Hamilton to a 4-year extension worth $100 million. He becomes the highest paid safety in the league.
That didn't last very long for what's his face from the Cardinals.
Buda?
Yeah, Buda Baker was after starting last year, but now he's not.
Yeah. Well, it's like T.J. Watt for like 2 months was the highest paid non-quarterback until Micah Parsons got his.
Yeah.
I wanted to look at the draft where Kyle Hamilton came out because I could have sworn that the Commanders... Oh, no, okay, he went 2 picks before the Commanders. Because I remember we took Jahan Dotson in that first round, and I wanted Kyle Hamilton. but he was gone. So, Jahan Dotson, first round pick who got traded 2 years later, sure, just as good. But anyways. Next up, Rashee Rice of the Chiefs, suspended for the first 6 games of the season. He accepted it, which is rare. Usually they try to fight it, so he will be out the first 6 weeks.
He was injured all last year, right?
Yeah, he got hurt in like week 2 or 3. He got hurt early.
Out all last year, and then what did he get suspended for?
I don't remember.
Because
I think it was like reckless driving. I think I think that's the one that he was going like 100 and caused an accident that killed somebody. Like he didn't hit someone, but he was like driving so fast that he caused a wreck and someone died. I think that's what that was. So, yeah,
yep.
Not sure, but
just crazy. He started last season really, really hot and then got injured.
Yeah.
And just
I remember
what a way to derail your own career.
I don't know what is going on with that.
That's super annoying.
Yeah, I'm not having any issues with audio, so I don't know if my internet's just randomly dropping it. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, I had Rashee Rice, and he was doing super well as my third receiver, and I was like on a roll, and then he goes down. And I was like, damn, that guy was going to win me leagues.
Yeah, he was having 100-yard games from what I remember.
All right, so on to the trades. We had a bunch of mid-level trades after the Micah Parsons one. So Carolina traded Adam Thielen, a conditional 7th rounder next year, and a 5th rounder in 2027 to Minnesota for a 5th rounder next year and a 4th rounder in 2027. A very convoluted trade to get Adam Thielen back in Minnesota.
And was that just to cover the 3 games that Addison's out? Like, why did they need Thielen?
Yeah, basically they just want to cover, and I think Thielen also wanted to go back to Minnesota because, obviously he loves the place. But what just a weird, all those picks, and one's a conditional pick for a guy who his best years are behind him. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Washington traded Brian Robinson to San Francisco for a 6th rounder next year. Very straightforward. Detroit traded Tim Patrick to Jacksonville for a 6th rounder next year, freeing up Isaac Tesla to be their number 3 receiver.
I was very upset about that, but it is nice that Tesla's going to get some play. So
I was going to say, I know you were a Tim Patrick fan last year, but then with Tesla, it's like one of them was going to break out.
Oh yeah, Tim Patrick has to go play with
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Good luck, sorry, buddy. Tim. But then we talked about Jacoby Myers. Wanted an extension. Now he wants to trade. We'll see. I don't think he gets traded, but he might. If I'm the Raiders and somebody offers me a 3rd for him, I'd take it. Otherwise, he's just going to walk after the season anyways.
Yeah.
We talked about the Saints naming Spencer Rattler their starting quarterback. Good luck. Browns named Dylan Gabriel their backup over Shedeur Sanders. My favorite is after that. I saw a bunch of clips on TikTok of like Pat McAfee show where they were talking about people calling the Browns racist for setting Shedeur Sanders up to fail by telling the offensive lineman. He didn't get to play with the
same talent.
Yeah, well, they told the offensive line not to block for him. That's
like he didn't get to start a preseason game in the week 1. Like, where were his opportunities not at? And here's the other thing that bugs the crap out of me. Who cares? This wasn't even the starting job. Do we give a shit about backups on any other team? Why do we care? It doesn't matter.
Because he's Deion's kid.
Okay, great.
Well, the people complaining aren't football fans. They're pop culture fans. They're people who just followed him in college because he made music or made TikToks, and they like him because of that and don't understand the actual game.
Yeah.
Like, that's why they root for him. It's like, no, the guy is a 5th-round pick, and he's a borderline 3rd-string practice squad quarterback.
Flacco was named the quarterback like 2 weeks ago. At that point, nothing else mattered. They weren't going to cut either one of them. You knew they were both going to make the team. Whether he's second or third, I don't know why that matters. Oh, when Flacco gets hurt, it would say who's going in. Okay, so if Dylan Gabriel goes in and sucks, like you all think he does, then Shador's going to go in the next week. Or maybe even in the same game. So, like, everybody just needs to calm down. Who cares? It's a
I wish
quarterback job.
I want them just to put Shador Sanders in week 1. Like, just have him start the game, look terrible, and then put Flacco in. Just so everybody shuts up. Otherwise, it's every week the Browns lose, it's going to be, start Shador. All right. So notable preseason roster cuts. These are just names, bigger names, not any major ones. But we had Kyle Trask from the Bucs, former second-round pick. Clayton Tune from the Cardinals, longtime backup there. Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets. Jake Hayner, who also started some games for them last year in New Orleans. Desmond Ridder from the Bengals. Hendon Hooker from the Lions. Dan Skipper from the Lions. Deontay Johnson from the Browns. Isaiah Simmons, former Cardinal. Kenyon Green from the Eagles, who I think got claimed by the Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken. Cole Strange from the Patriots. Mike Hilton. Mike Edwards, Cameron Johnston.
Deontay Johnson does not surprise me. That guy got dropped by 2 different teams during the season last year. So, like, the fact he was even on a team for like preseason kind of surprised me because I'm like, this guy's out.
It's crazy how.
But then on the other side, Robbie Chosen
ended.
or Robbie Anderson has been on multiple teams still since he got dropped 17 times. So, I guess they'll just float around forever, but. The Deontay Johnson one does not surprise me, despite the fact that he was a really good receiver that just suddenly fell off, completely off a cliff.
It seems like there's if you're a really good receiver, there just comes a time where you just like immediately fall off a cliff, or you have guys like Robbie Anderson where it's like, I'm just going to be the mediocre receiver for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of mediocre receivers, the 49ers signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling, which is good because they have injuries to every other receiver. Raiders signed Amari Cooper. And the Patriots kept Kendrick Bourne on their roster and then decided to cut him the next day. And then they just cut Jabril Peppers. So New England apparently very indecisive about their roster.
There's a lot of very weird things going on. At least for the Lions with the 50.
I think
there was a 53-man cut, right? The Lions cut their team down to 50 people. And then the very next day cut another person and we're down to 49. Signed someone, and I don't know how many people they're at this point. Not to mention they literally cut their 6th-round pick from this year. Ahmad Hasuin. I can't remember. The guy from Boise State that was really good. And looked really good. Rather than just put him on the PUP, they released him because he was injured, basically hoping that he could make the practice squad, make it to the practice squad with no one picking him up. It was so weird.
Did they not? They didn't re-sign him to their practice squad?
I don't know. I haven't checked. Well, I just know they released him while he was injured, and I'm like, what are we doing? That guy's good.
Yeah, unfortunately, because they have to release them and then re-sign them to the practice squad, it's annoying when they have draft picks like that where they release them and then they get signed to another team or claimed off waivers by another team. So, but hopefully he made it to the practice squad. I saw also, I think it's the Cowboys who yesterday cut a receiver and now only have 4 receivers on their team, and they play in less than a week. It's like teams are doing weird stuff right now.
I'm looking at the Lions practice squad, and Dan Skipper's on it. So, I mean, I guess they didn't completely let him go. Yeah. So, very odd. But I don't see Hassan on there.
I wonder if he got claimed by somebody else. All right, so our week 3 preseason depth charge. I went 0 for 4 because I purposely just picked all the ones with the highest odds. You painstakingly went 3 out of 4, and the one you lost was the Chiefs over the Bears, with the Bears winning on a last-second touchdown. So that had to suck.
Yay!
You were. I don't know what your odds were on that because you didn't list them, but you
Spoiler
were.
alert, I never went into the app and actually made this bet, so it did not hurt
Oh
as much
well,
as it should have. It would
yeah,
have hurt
that's
more
good.
if they Chiefs had won that game.
Yeah, that would have really sucked.
So,
um, all right, well there you go. That's so preseason is over. Cuts are done. Are basically setting their roster. We're gonna dive into our last two division recaps, and then we'll be ready to do our week one primer next week. So we're gonna
sweet.
start off with the AFC West. Kansas City Chiefs won the division with a record of 15-2 last year. This offseason, they lost backup quarterback Carson Wentz, DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Watson, McCole Hardman, three of their receivers, DJ Humphries, Joe Tooney, some offensive linemen, Josh Uche, Treshawn Wharton, Justin Reed, great safety there. They signed Gardner Minshew to be their backup. They signed Elijah Mitchell at running back, Jalen Moore, Jerry Tillery, and Christian Fulton. Drafted Josh Simmons in the first round, and then a bunch of defensive people. So, Chiefs, they still got Mahomes. They've got Xavier Worthy from last year. Rasheed Rice will be back in week 7. Defense, who's their big defensive lineman? I can't
Chris
remember his name.
Jones.
Thank you. So Chris Jones. So, big thing with the Chiefs is they still got Andy Reid. They still got Patrick. Their over-under in FanDuel is 11.5.
I just don't understand this wide receiving crew. Like they let go of Hopkins, Watson, Mecole Hardman. All probably signed last year simply because of all the injuries they had to their wide receiver room. But when your number one receiver is Xavier Worthy, did he bulk up this offseason? Is he still 130 pounds? 165 pounds. 5'11". That's your number one. That is your number one receiver. Hollywood Brown,
Well,
injured a lot of the season, but like you're hoping he becomes or is what he was once. Juju Smith-Schuster will never be the guy he once was.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice is your guy. He's gone for 6 games out of 17. Then you got Tyquan Thornton, Jason Brownlee, Noah Gray. Or Jalen Rawls. That guy's a rookie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just I guess winning all 10 of your one score games was good enough for you to not have to worry about massively upgrading that room, but it's just I don't know, man. I feel like they were already teetering on the edge of a fall, and if they only win half of those games that were one score games, now they're fighting for the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Chiefs, the frustrating thing is, and I say it as a joke, but I'm also like 60% serious, the NFL helps them win. They overlook a lot of shit that their offensive line does, a lot of shit with pass interference. They help, them out. It's a joke, but it's also not.
Juwan Taylor,
But
the most false starting tackle ever, and with all the ones that are called, half of them they don't call. Like,
yeah. I think Rashee Rice could be a number one, but he's gone for 6 weeks. Xavier Worthy doesn't excite me. Hollywood Brown doesn't. Travis Kelce's another year older. They're a playoff team because they have Andy Reid, Mahomes, and because the NFL would just lose their mind if the Chiefs weren't playing in the playoffs. I'm going to go under 11.5 though. 11, 10. They're not going to be a 6-win team, but I think the Chargers are better, the Broncos are better, and the Chiefs got a little worse. So I'm going to go under.
I'm also going to go under. Let's say 10 or 11 wins. Let's say the world comes back to even and they lose half those 1-point games. That makes them 10-7. So
there you go. Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
All right. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Chargers, who finished last year 11-6. They lost J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, who were their starters last year. Josh Palmer, Hayden Hurst, Joey Bosa, that's a big one. Morgan Fox, Poona Ford, Asante Samuel Jr., crazy. that Asante Samuel Jr. just is unemployed right now.
Yeah, how's that
Christian
guy not on
Fulton
a
and
team?
Marcus May. I have no idea. I like all offseason, I was like, why don't the Commanders sign him? Like he wasn't bad for the Chargers. Is he hurt? I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah.
They signed Trey Lance as their backup, Najee Harris to start at running back. Mike Williams is back, and then who cares? Tyler Conklin at tight end, Mekhi Becton, great guard. Andre James, Deshaun Hand, Dante Jackson, Benjamin St. Juice, former Commanders corner who is awful. Drafted Amari Hampton in the first round, Trey Harris in the second, and then some defensive players. Their over-under is 9.5, and I'm immediately just going to go over.
So I'm trying to think ahead here because of the fact of where I'm going to go. I'm going to go under for the Chargers.
Oh, okay.
I think their defense
Going
got
under.
worse. I think that, Najee Harris, Omari and Hampton, they're going to have some interesting. I think they were better with Dobbins and Edwards, so we'll see what happens. I mean, they've got more upside with Hampton in the future, but for this season alone, Najee Harris and Hampton, that'll be interesting.
See, I love Amari Hampton. I think he's gonna overtake Najee pretty quickly and have a pretty nice year. I also like Trey Harris to kind of break out opposite Ladd McConkey. Yeah, the way I look at it is that this division, 3 teams won double-digit games last year. Probably going to happen again. So 9.5, getting to 10 wins should be pretty easy for the Chargers. All right. So next up, Denver Broncos, who finished last year 10-7. They lost Zach Wilson, Javonte Williams, their longtime running back, who I kept drafting in fantasy only for him to do nothing. Little Jordan Humphrey, Cody Barton, Zach Cunningham. They signed J.K. Dobbins, Trent Sherfield, Evan Ingram at tight end, Dre Greenlaw, great linebacker, and Talanoa Hufanga, good safety.
Yeah.
Drafted Jody Barron, R.J. Harvey, Pat Bryant, Q Robinson. Their over-under is also 9.5. And again, I'm going over. I think the Broncos, Bo Nix had a great rookie year. R.J. Harvey, J.K. Dobbins, a good combo in the backfield. Cortland Sutton's still there. Evan Ingram looked amazing in the preseason. Pat Bryant, who, the hell's his name? The coach. I'm forgetting his name right now, but he called Pat Bryant the next.
Sean Payton.
Thank you. Sean Payton called Pat Bryant his next Michael Thomas, which is that's pretty impressive.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I think the Broncos are definitely poised to potentially win this division, but at the very least repeat their success from last year.
I think the Chiefs have 10 or 11 wins, and the Broncos have 12 and win the division.
There you go.
I'm over for sure. I'm high on the Broncos this year.
Yeah. Not to mention the defense. Like, the defense was already good, and then they added Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga, and it's like, that defense is going to be even better.
Yeah, secondary
That's why
looks good. The defensive line with Zach Allen and Jonathan Cooper.
Yeah.
Very good. Dre Greenlaw and Nick Benito now, and the linebacking crew. Yeah, they look good.
Yeah, that's why I look at the Broncos, Chargers, and Chiefs and think, I think all 3 of them win at least 10 games. And then next up, we have the Raiders. Which, spoiler alert, I don't think they're going to win 10 games. They have a new head coach, Pete Carroll. They lost Gardner Minshew, Alexander Madison, Harrison Bryant, Cody Whitehair, Andres Pete, Andre James, Clavon Chizon, John Jenkins, Robert Spillane, Devon Diblo, Nate Hobbs, Trevor Moore, Marcus Epps. They lost a lot of players, which usually happens when you
Robert
go 4-13.
Spillane, Divine Diablo, Morig, those are some big defensive names there.
Yeah. And they signed Geno Smith to be their new starter, Raheem Mostert. Alex Kaplan's a good guard, Leke Futu, Jermaine Pratt, Landon Roberts, Devin White, Eric Stokes, Jeremy Chin. So they did replace some of the players on their defense. I know Jeremy Chin had a good year in Washington last year. Mm-hmm. Drafted Ashton Genty, obviously, Jack Beck, Charles Grant, Caleb Rogers, Darian Porter, Dante Thornton, shout out. Tonka Hemingway. So a lot of changeover for the Raiders. FanDuel has their over/under at 6.5. So basically, do you think the Raiders are going to win 3 more games just because they drafted Austin Genty and signed Geno Smith? And I say no. I am going under 6.5.
I agree. Under.
Yeah. You talked about it in the top 5. I think the Raiders going to be one of the bottom 5 teams in the AFC. And a lot of that just because the AFC has so many good teams.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to the NFC West. The Rams won the division, very close. They were 10-7. Lost longtime receiver Cooper Kupp, Tyler Johnson, Hunter Long, Joseph Noteboom, Jonah Jackson on the offensive line, Bobby Brown, Christian Roseboom. His name sounds a lot like Noteboom. And John Johnson. They signed Devontae Adams, sure. DJ Humphries, Coleman Shelton, Poona Ford, Nate Landman. That is not their draft. That's the Cardinals draft. I don't know how that happened. Anyways, so the Rams, they went 10-7 last year, and FanDuel has their over/under at 9.5. I'm gonna let you go first while I look up the actual Rams draft picks.
Well, I'm going over because I think they're going to win the division, and 9.5 is a very low number for a division winner. So, and then they won it at 10 last year, which is over that 9.5, but very close. So,
yeah,
I think they'll be better. Than that
just squeaking over.
Yeah.
All right. So draft for the Rams: Terrence Ferguson, tight end, Josiah Zewert, and Jarquez Hunter. I'm going to go under simply because I don't feel like Matthew Stafford's going to last the full season. His back seems to be bothering him. It's only a matter of time before he takes a hit and decides to sit out or misses a couple games. So, yeah, I'm going to go under. Here's 8 or 9 wins.
Here's the thing about that bugs me about all these other teams that are making these old players their starters. If I were to choose between Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco, and Jimmy Garoppolo, I would pick Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Garoppolo is the backup to Matthew Stafford for the Rams. I feel like if Stafford can't go, they still have a pretty good chance of winning the division with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, I see the thing is for me, the next team I feel like is going to win the division. So that's why I got to go under.
Gotcha.
But we've got the Seahawks, who finished at 10-7, lost out on the playoffs by a tiebreaker. They lost Geno Smith, who had been their starter. They did trade away DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, 2 longtime receivers. George Fant, their tackle, Lagan Tomlinson, Draymond Jones, Roy Robertson Harris, and Trey Brown. They signed Sam Darnold to be their starter, Drew Lock to be a backup, Cooper Kupp from the Rams, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who they he's on the 49ers.
I say he's on the 49ers now, right?
DeMarcus Lawrence and Shaq Griffin. Drafted Gray Zabel, Nick Emanwari, and Elijah Arroyo. So their over-under is 8.5. They won 10 games last year. They changed quarterbacks. I don't think Darnold's going to be nearly as good as he was last year, but hopefully he can at least be average. But I like their defense. I like their run game. I think the Seahawks go over 8.5, and they win.
I'll go over as well. I think those two teams are definitely going to be fighting it out for the division.
Yeah, it'll come down to those two. Not the next. I feel like this is something for you because like nothing is happening on mine, and then all of a sudden it's just like you you leave the call. So I don't know.
I don't know what the deal is or why it's doing that, but that's really annoying. So
have fun editing this.
yeah, well, the video is going to stay the way it is. I don't want to edit.
Yeah, that's fine.
But whatever.
Yeah, for our YouTube viewer, they'll just deal with it. All right, so moving on to the Cardinals. Cardinals finished last year 8-9. Lost Calvin Beachum, Will Hernandez, Roy Lopez, Dennis Gardeck, and Matt Prater. 2 longtime Cardinals right there. Signed Jacoby Brissett, Jack Curran, Royce Newman, Josh Sweat, big one. Calais Campbell comes back, Dalvin Tomlinson, Akeem Davis Gaither, Mikael Walker, Jalen Jones. Drafted Walter Nowen, who will be on the PUP list to start. Will Johnson, which is a great second-round pick. Jordan Birch and Cody Simon. Their over-under is 8.5. This one's a real tough one because the Cardinals have potential to win 9-10 games. They have some more talent on defense. If Marvin Harrison Jr. takes a big step. However, I'm going to go under because I think the division's going to be too tough. The Rams and Seahawks are too tough. They'll probably win another 7 or 8 games and be average.
I hope they're really good or really bad. That's all I hope for. Because average is just going to be terrible spot for them after this year. Because if they are average with a losing record, Kyler Murray's gone. Which means suddenly you've got to trade picks to move up to have one of the better quarterbacks in the first round. So they need to be either really bad or really good. But I'm also going to go under because I feel like they are still going to be bad, and the defense is going to be much improved, good defense, and we're still going to see the same Kyler Murray type of mistakes and decisions that sometimes win games and most of the time lead to losing games. So...
yeah.
I mean, when they re-signed him to that long-term contract, I knew for the long haul, until that test was over, they were gonna be in a bad spot. So the test is almost over. One more season, and we'll see what happens after that.
Well, and I was curious because I looked up their salary cap. So for next year, if they cut him pre-June 1st, they have a cap hit or dead money of $55 million and a cap savings of negative 1.5. So they could do it. They could take the hit. I feel like they're going to ride with him for at least one more year. Because then when you get to 2027, you can cut him and actually save $36 million against the cap. So I feel like he's going to be there for 2 more years. Unless, if they are absolutely horrible and end up with a top 3 or 5 pick and have a chance at one of those top quarterbacks, then yeah. So exactly. Basically, they need to either be one of the worst teams in the league so they can move on from Kyler Murray, or make the playoffs and have a good year and give us some hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are one of 2 outcomes. Next up is the 49ers. This one blows my mind. I'm just going to say it right now. They went 6-11 last year. Their over-under is 10.5.
That seems like
they're going to win
money.
5 more games this year. Here's who they lost. Josh Dobbs, all right, backup quarterback. Jordan Mason filled in very well for them. Elijah Mitchell filled in very well in the past. Deebo Samuel, gone. Jalen Moore, Aaron Banks, John Feliciano, 3 offensive linemen. Javal Hargrave, Malik Collins, 2 great defensive linemen. Leonard Floyd, Dre Greenlaw, one of the best linebackers in the league. Devondre Campbell, Javarius Ward, Isaiah Yiadom, Talafanyo Hufunga, one of the best safeties, and their punter, who cares. They signed Mac Jones to be their backup, Demarcus Robinson at receiver, Andre Dillard, Bryce Huff, Luke Gifford, Trey Brown. Drafted Mikael Williams. Okay, good draft pick. Alfred Collins, Nick Martin, Upton Stout. Basically, they try to reload their defense through the draft. They also have Brandon Ayuk, who's on the PUP list and won't be available for at least the first 8 weeks. Just want to power through this.
Annoying.
This is annoying.
I don't know what's happening.
So the 49ers lost a whole lot on defense. Lost one of their best playmakers on offense. They paid Brock Purdy a bunch of money. And yet FanDuel thinks they're going to win 5 more games. FanDuel thinks that Brock Purdy by himself throwing to Juwan Jennings, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Ricky Pearsall when he's healthy is good enough. Yeah, I've literally already bet this in FanDuel. I'm going under. Sorry, Dave, but it's insane. I don't understand where this is coming from.
Yeah.
Like,
does not make sense.
Yeah, it really doesn't compute that everyone's like, oh, the 49ers are going to win that division with 11 games. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't think so.
All right, well, there you go. So we are all done our division previews. And so in the West, we ended up with 2 differences, the Chargers and the Rams. Last thing today, so I just wanted to look at our draft spotlight players and see how their preseasons went now that cuts are done. So starting off with mine, quarterback Riley Leonard from Notre Dame. He got drafted by the Colts and right now is listed as their backup over Anthony Richardson. So good job.
Over Anthony Richardson.
They are completely done. DJ Giddens from Kansas State got drafted by the Colts in the 5th round and is listed as the backup to Jonathan Taylor. So shout out there. Bashal Tutin from Virginia Tech, drafted by the Jags in the 4th round, currently listed as their 3rd running back behind Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. Landon Parker from Troy went undrafted, signed with the Colts, unfortunately was waived and not signed to their practice squad. So he is currently unsigned, wishing him the best. I actually tweeted at him yesterday and said, I hope the Commanders sign you to the practice squad.
Nice.
Isaiah Nair from Nebraska, signed by the 49ers as an undrafted free agent, cut and got signed by the Packers, then got released and signed to their practice squad on Tuesday, so he's still chilling. Dante Thornton Jr., drafted by the Raiders in the 4th round, currently listed as their 2nd wide receiver opposite Jacoby Myers. And if Jacoby Myers gets traded, he will be their number 1. So
that's crazy.
That one's pretty good. Yeah. Tight end Carter Runyon, signed by the Raiders as an undrafted free agent, was cut and signed to their practice squad. I had Shamar Stewart, who of course got drafted by the Bengals in the 1st round, so he's sticking around. Connor O'Toole, signed by the Seahawks as an undrafted free agent, and actually stuck on the roster as their 3rd Sam. So that's pretty awesome to see an undrafted free agent. Yeah, always good to see. Antoine Powell-Ryland, drafted by the Eagles in the 6th round and signed to their practice squad. Brandon George, linebacker, signed by the Chiefs as an undrafted free agent, and unfortunately was placed on season-ending IR with an undisclosed injury. But he's still on the roster, so he'll be around for next year.
Nice.
Moving on to your players, you had Brady Cook. He got signed by the Jets as an undrafted free agent and got signed to their practice squad on Tuesday.
Nice.
Caleb Johnson, drafted by the Steelers in the 3rd round, listed as their backup behind Jalen Warren. Cam Skattebo, drafted by the Giants in the 4th round, listed as their backup to Tyrone Tracy. Torrey Horton, drafted by the Seahawks in the 5th round and listed as their 3rd receiver. And actually probably they're an outside receiver because they've got Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp, who are both slot guys. So good for Torrey Horton to be playing outside. Nick Nash, signed by the Falcons as an undrafted free agent and made it to their practice squad. Terrence Ferguson, drafted by the Rams in the 2nd round and is listed as their 2nd tight end behind Tyler Higbee. Landon Johnson, drafted by the Bills in the 3rd round, is listed as their 2nd defensive end. Danny Stutzman, drafted by the Saints in the 4th
starting
round.
defensive end or backup?
No, he's like a backup, like the right side, I think.
Okay.
Danny Stutzman, drafted by the Saints in the 4th round, listed as their 2nd linebacker. Funny thing about Danny Stutzman too is Madden has him listed as star development, so little gem there. Keaton Crawford, drafted by the Cardinals in the 7th round, made the roster, is listed as the 3rd free safety. And then Nick Imanwari, drafted by the Seahawks in the 2nd round, is listed as their 2nd free safety. So out of all the players we spotlighted, unfortunately only Landon Parker did not make a roster practice squad.
Surprising. Be interesting.
Some pretty good shout outs that we identified and sticking around.
Yep. Nice.
Well, there you go. That is
our.
Yeah, we'll follow that along and see. I've set up Google alerts for those players, so anytime there's news about them, I'll get an alert.
Nice.
And our preseason podcasts are now done. We've recapped all the divisions. Now we move into next week, and we'll do our week 1 preview.
Week 1 preview, our predictions on... remind me to go back through the last 4 weeks of notes when I make my division winner picks, so they line up.
Read your over-unders.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, next week we'll do our predictions on division winners, wild card playoff teams, go through the playoffs on who we think will be in the Super Bowls and the NFC and AFC championship games, as well as preview week 1's games. It'll be a fun week because those are always the last 4 weeks with the over-unders, and our playoff predictions are always fun to go over when we hit the playoffs this year to see where we land versus what happened in the season. So, that'll be fun. Check that out next.
It's always fun to look back on your predictions and see what you got right, what you got wrong. Because, I mean, there's every year there's a team that comes out of nowhere. So, we could be sitting here in January being like, can't believe the Bears won 14 games.
Tyler Shuck really was really good this season.
Yeah. Boy, Russell Wilson, man. Career resurgence.
Exactly. Like Sam Darnold.
Yes.
All right, everybody. We'll be back next week. So if you're listening to this, check it out on YouTube, youtube.com/@Coffin Corner. You can find us on any podcast platform. Just search for Coffin Corner Podcast and look for the pylon logo, and you will find us there. And until next week, enjoy your college football because it's what you get for this week. And then we will enjoy NFL next week with the big boys. So until then, nobody's playing my team, so I don't got to worry about any of you guys. So, we'll catch you next week.